So the first thing you gotta do.
So one of the big things about wrestling is being within your weight class. It's important to make sure that you're within your weight class because that means you're wrestling someone close enough to your weight so that there isn't too much of a disadvantage. So my main topic today is going to be how you cut weight. And to start, we're first going to talk about how much weight you should cut on average. You shouldn't be cutting too much weight because it starts to get a little unhealthy. So on average, it should be about 2 to 5 pounds. And a good thing to understand is a number versus the content. So you might lose 3 or 4 pounds in a practice, but you're losing it in water weight. You're not losing it in fat. And it's really important to understand what you're losing, not exactly you're losing fat, but you are losing water. That's usually where most of your weight is. Most of the time you're going to weigh heavy because of water, not because of food. Food usually actually weighs about, 0.32 pounds for just a sandwich. So if you really look at the basis of it, it is not really a lot of fat that you're cutting. You are mostly just cutting water from your diet. So the main 3 points I'm going to talk about is what you should eat, what your week should regularly look like, and techniques how to lose it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what you should eat. The big thing is don't eat sweets. It's kind of obvious, but if you're eating a lot of sugary foods, a lot of sweets, you're going to have lots of sodium in your body, which retains water really well, and it's really not ideal because if you're holding in weight, then you're not going to be losing it. Another thing is don't drink soda. Soda has a lot of sodium. It just holds in all the water and it prevents you from sweating, and it's just not ideal. Another thing you can do is eat 5 small, healthy meals a day. Every time you eat, you get a little burst of energy, and if you eat 5 meals, you'll get, those bursts of energy to break down faster. Avoid lots of protein. Protein sits in your stomach, and it doesn't really go anywhere for a few days. So if you eat a lot of protein and carbs, it's gonna just sit there. So avoid them as best as possible, but if you want to have like a little bit of meat, that's totally fine. And make sure you drink lots of water, because if you're drinking lots of water, you're going to feel a little bit more fuller, you're going to have all the sodium out of your body, all the crap is going to come out, and it really helps. It really helps when you're trying to cut weight because it just sweats out a lot faster. So here's what your week should usually look like. At the beginning of the week, you should eat a basis of about 3 meals. They should be healthy, and they should be, within your regular portion sizes. Make sure that you're keeping yourself full at about Monday and Tuesday. And when you start getting towards the middle of the week, start cutting portions out just a little bit. Maybe you don't have the pears you had for lunch, or maybe you cut back the amount of sandwich you had to a little bit less. And the more you cut back portion by portion, you will start to see significant weight difference. By the end of the week, you should make sure that you're eating healthy foods only, and when you do eat, keep the portions small. Towards the end of the week, you start getting to weigh-ins on Saturday morning, and you want to make sure that you are as close to weight as possible, especially on Friday night. So Friday night, depending on where you weigh, you might not even be able to eat on Friday night. So if you do eat on Friday night, make sure you eat just a little bit and don't drink a lot of water. Water will always kill you. So my last topic is going to be cutting techniques. How do you really get the water weight off, and how do you really get down to your weight? So one of the big things that everybody always does is they make sure you're practicing hard every day, and sometimes you even have to practice in sweats. If you can get an extra workout in during the day, that would be really ideal, because the more water weight you're cutting throughout the day, the easier it is towards Friday. Make sure you're also working with sweats, or working out in sweats, especially on Friday night. You can work out in sweats on Thursday, but it's ideal to work it out on Friday night when you need to weigh in the next day. Another thing you can do is sleeping in sweats. Sweatpants, sweatshirt, turn on the heater, sleep in a few blankets, because as you're sleeping, you're sweating. And as you're sweating, you're losing weight, and it helps you get down to where you need to be. I've used it several times, and it's very, very helpful, because you are losing the weight doing nothing. measure your food and water, especially your water. What I usually do is I measure the cup that I'm putting on, or I'm putting my water in, and then I measure the water in and kind of figure out the difference, just to make sure that I'm not going over a pound, and see where I'm going to be at. Make sure you're eating good food to be energized for the next day. You have to think of, you were cutting weight the night before, but you need to have enough energy to wrestle 4 to 5 matches the next day. So you need to be energized and ready and eat correct foods. And then the morning of, make sure you're sleeping on the bus, and sleep by the heater with some sweats on again. It'll help you sweat a little bit more while you're sleeping, kind of like before you're sleeping out. And don't eat and drink until after weigh-in. It's going to be really tempting, but if you wait, it's better to be under a pound than over a pound. So today I kind of talked about some food choices that you should make, specifically what not to eat or drink. I talked about the big no-nos, especially soda, sweets, snacks, stuff like that. I talked about the beginning of your week and how it should be regular, eating habits. Middle of the week should be about cutting in a little bit. End of the week, you should start eating less and less until maybe you're not even eating on Friday night. I talked about working out in sweats and a few other cutting techniques, like sleeping in sweats and measuring your food. Thank you.